For those of you who are not that familiarized with CAIR, the organization who's organizing this event, presenting this event, the Council on American Islamic Relations, we are a council of chapters throughout the nation. Each chapter is run autonomously, and this is one branch of the Florida chapter. We have 3 offices. We have an office here, close to here in Sunrise. We have another office in Tampa, and a 3rd office that we recently opened a year and a half ago, 2 years ago in Orlando. We have close to 16, 17 full-time employees. Now we have 6 full-time attorneys as part of our staff. We are a civil rights organization, and the main purpose is to enhance the understanding of Islam. We want to encourage dialogue within our community and among the different communities. We strive to protect the civil liberties. That's why you see a staff, a strong legal staff, 6 full-time attorneys. We have paralegals also working in our staff. We want to empower our community, growing community, steadily growing community. Just here in the Tri-County area, Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade, we estimate that we must have over 150,000 Muslims. In the state of Florida, there are other unofficial estimates that there should be around 750,000 Muslims here, over 700,000 Muslims living in Florida, in the state of Florida. It is that community that we want to empower civically, that we want them to get more, educate them as to their civic duties. Very pertinent in these days, and Paradise, our first speaker, will abound on this area, on how important, how the Muslim community have developed into a broader civic engagement, especially when it comes to politics, right? Also, we want to build coalitions within our community and with other communities to promote justice and understanding. We are committed to protect the civil rights not only of our community, but of all citizens that seek our help. You'll be surprised, we do have and receive clientele that are non-Muslims to seeking assistance with immigration matters, seeking assistance with civil rights matters. Recently had a client who's a non-Muslim Arab seeking some legal assistance from our office, and so on and so on. So the services we offer are not limited to the Muslim community, but for the broader spectrum of the community, although the vast majority of our clients are within the Muslim community. Our core principle, and this is so pertinent today, our core principle is the condemnation of all acts of violence against civilians by an individual, by any organization, or by any state. This is what we have always stand for. This is not a core principle that we brought up today or brought up after September 11th or brought up after the terrorist attacks. It has been a core principle of CAIR since its inception and since its creation. We are often asked, where are your voices when terrorist attacks happen? Where are the Muslim voices condemning the terrorist attacks? And we are many voices condemning the terrorist attacks. Unfortunately, what attracts the media attention the most are not the condemnation of the terrorist acts, but those acts. And this is what happened. But if you Google, for example, American Muslims condemn any of the terrorist attacks, you will find thousands of entries of not only CAIR, the different communities throughout America and internationally condemning each and every terrorist attack. What do we do in the ground regarding extremism and terrorism? Just in the past 6 months, CAIR has conducted over 40 safety and security trainings where one of the topics is precisely how the community should deal with extremism and terrorism. The community is, in those trainings, some of the things that are addressed are how the community should be directly involved in preventing extremism and what to do if we identify an extremist element within our community or an extremist element attacking or attempting to attack our community. We have been very proactive, probably more than the press knows, and probably more than the general public knows, and probably more than the own community knows how active our community leadership is in regarding denouncing extremism, identifying extremism, denouncing it, and taking it to the appropriate law enforcement agencies. Not so long ago, I was personally in the FBI offices helping in an investigation dealing with a Muslim woman here in South Florida who departed to Turkey and eventually joined ISIS with her 2 toddlers. Those are the kind of events that don't make it to the news, but just an example of how directly involved our community is with this of extremism and terrorism. And most of these approaches from our community to the law enforcement don't make it to the media because precisely they're made in a concealed, secretive way. These are ongoing, very serious investigations, criminal in nature, involving sometimes international elements, and this, while they're conducting the investigation and our community is engaged with the law enforcement cooperating with these investigations, do not make it to the news necessarily. There are other things that our community are doing to prevent extremism. When we detect extremists who have not engaged in any criminal activity, if we denounce that to the law enforcement authorities, very little they can do. As a matter of fact, in a recent meeting we had with Department of Justice and FBI and other federal law enforcement agencies, they openly recognize that they have zero budget to prevent extremism. They are law enforcement agencies. So if we tell them, hey, there's a guy here saying some stuff that doesn't sound right with some antisocial behavior, if he has not committed a crime, what can they do? So it is up to our community and we have stepped up to identify those individuals and provide a holistic approach to those individuals with professionals on theology, on psychological and medical services, on legal services, on social services. Let me give you an example. Prior to the Boston bombings, one of those brothers involved in the terrorist attack was attending a Friday prayer, the Juma prayer. And the imam in that Boston mosque was addressing the community and was talking about Martin Luther King. And one of these brothers stood up and said, you cannot talk in a mosque about a Christian. He's not a Muslim, he's a kuffar, an unbeliever. What did the community do? The community said, go out of this community. You don't belong here. Did that help? We see the results, what happened afterwards. So if that individual would have been approached by the community and provided assistance by an imam, an attorney, law enforcement, medical, psychological, probably also social services, probably a terrorist attack could have been prevented. So it is following that kind of need that our community CAIR has developed a team of experts when we do have a case of extremism in our community, we have the appropriate tools to deal with those individuals and provide better service and protect our community. We cannot lose the perspective that the main victims of terrorism are Muslims. ISIS have killed more Muslims than Christians, Jews, and unbelievers together. So the main victims, and you should keep in mind, of the terrorists and extremists is the Muslim community. And we're victimized twice because we're direct victims of their terrorist act, and then we also need to deal with the stereotypes that we carry after these events happen. So we're going to show you a short film. It's like a 7-minute film. It's called American Muslims, Facts versus Fiction. And it has a lot of data, very interesting and very useful for you journalists and for our community about who we are in the Muslim community in America, what do we do, and our